6.1 Fractions, Decimals, and Percents. In this section, we are going to convert between percents and decimals. But before we do that, let's review what percent means. Percent can be broken up into two parts, per and cent. And the math symbol or operation we associate with per is division, or the fraction line, right? 60 miles per 1 hour, right? And then the number we associate with cent is, well, how many cents are there in a dollar? And how many years are there in a century? It's 100. So the word cent is associated with the number 100. So altogether, percent is per cent, a number per 100. Okay? So if we want to write 82% in decimal form, the first thing you do is you remove the percent sign. Okay? So let's remove that. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to divide that by 100. 82 divided by 100 is the same thing as 0.82, right? Because when you divide by 100, right, 82% is 82 per 100. So if you divide it by 100, that's the same as moving the decimal place 2 spots over, because there are 2 zeros. So to convert a percent into decimal form, simply take the number, remove the percent sign, and move the decimal place 1, 2 to the left. You move 2 spaces to the left. Okay, and then to move a decimal into percent form, do the opposite. You're going to take that number, that decimal, and you're going to multiply it by 100. Okay, and that's the same as moving the decimal place 2 to the right. So then it becomes 47%, right? From percent to decimal form, move the decimal places 2 spaces to the left. From decimal form to percent, move it the decimal place 2 to the right. Okay. So now it's time for you to write in your notes. There's the top section you need to complete. Okay, now we are going to write fractions as decimals and percents. But the first thing we need to do is we need to remember how to return a fraction into a decimal. Okay? First thing, change the fraction to a decimal. And how do we do that? Thinking back to a few chapters ago, that is divide the top by the bottom, or divide the numerator by the denominator. Okay? So if we divide the top by the bottom, 4 divided by 5. 5 can go into 4 0 times. 5 can go into 40 8 times. So 4/5 is the same as 0.8 in decimal form. Now, going back to what we just learned, we can change this decimal into a percent by doing what? By multiplying it by 100, or moving the decimal places 2 places to the right. So if we have 0.8, we want to go 1, 2. So what are we left with? 80, and then we add the percent sign, percent. So 4/5 is the same as 0.8, which is the same as 80%. Okay, time for you to write in your notes. There's the bottom section to complete. And now that you've done that, there are about 3 problems. One of them has 2 questions within it. All right, some hints on the practice problems. The first one, writing 39% as a decimal. Remember, the first thing you want to do is you want to get rid of that percent sign. And we divide by 100. What does divide by 100 mean? It means moving the decimal place 2 spots to the left, right? Okay, now on moving a decimal to a percent, this time we want to multiply by 100. And multiplying by 100 means we move the decimal place 1, 2 to the right. Okay, same with this one. This is the same as multiplying by 100 because we're changing it from a decimal to a percent. So we move our decimal place 1, 2 to the right. And on both of these ones, we got to remember to add the percent sign at the end. Okay, this one we take away the percent sign, we divide by 100. These two we multiply by 100 and add the percent sign. Okay, the next one and the last one is writing the fraction 5/8 as a percent. So the first step, change the fraction into a decimal. Okay, so remember we do that by doing what? Dividing the top divided by the bottom. Meaning top goes in the box and the bottom goes on the outside. So once you divide that out and you get a decimal as your answer up here, we then multiply that decimal times 100 and add the percent sign. Okay, and that is it for 6.1.